So here we have a machine from a different brand. And what we're going to do is we're going to install our bobbin. Normally, in a drop-in bobbin, remember, the bobbin, if you pull on the thread, should be turning counterclockwise. We're going to install it differently. So, showing you that you can get it installed incorrectly. So, if we pick up our bobbin thread, as soon as we pick up our bobbin thread, you can tell that it's not in the tension, because our bobbin thread tension assembly is over here. There's our thread coming straight off of the bobbin case, and if we test that thread, we have 0 tension. So because you don't see this thread across the bottom, you're going to get the loops on the top side of the fabric. And that's virtually always your bobbin thread. So here we're going to try to put that in one more time. So I'm going to pull my bobbin thread into my tension, cut my thread, and then bobbin cover plate on, and we're going to sew some fabric. Okay, so if we look on our seam, we started off with a pretty decent seam, but shortly, I mean real quick, all of a sudden we're seeing the bobbin thread on the top side of the fabric. You see the knot coming up to the top, and you don't see any of the darker thread or the top thread on the bottom side. Well, remember, that means that your upper thread is usually fine because it's looping on the top. That means it's your bobbin thread. If your bobbin thread is looping on top, then this is what it's going to look like. So it's opposite what you think. If you're getting loops on the bottom, it's going to be your upper thread. If you're getting loops on the top, it's going to be your bobbin thread. So what we're going to do is we're just going to raise our needle, and we're going to move this around. And if we look, we take our bobbin cover plate off. If we look, our bobbin thread is not in our tension assembly. It is way over here, and that means if it's coming out over there, it is not in the tension, and you're going to get loops on the top side of your fabric, and so you'll have to reinstall that after you rip out all of those stitches that you just sewed, which if it stays together, you're usually not going to catch that for quite a while. So we're going to trim our thread, and we're going to pull our bobbin thread out of there, and we're going to install it correctly with the bobbin thread, the bobbin itself turning counterclockwise. Put our bobbin cover plate back on, and I'm going to sew right alongside. And if you'll notice, our bobbin thread is over the top of our bobbin, just exactly like the picture shows when it's going through there. The bobbin thread is going to be right over the top of the bobbin. That means it's in our bobbin thread tension assembly. If you don't see this thread, your bobbin is not installed correctly. So we're going to look at our seam. And if we look at our seam, we have a great stitch. You see the old one, the other stitch has a lot of the bobbin thread showing on top, and this seam is perfect. So hope this helps with diagnosing some of your bobbin thread tension problems. We will look at one more machine.